Yes, I know, I know. After not repeating a matchup for over 50 videos, we've repeated a few already, and we've seen High Elves versus Tzeentch relatively recently. I'm even going to show you two High Elves versus Tzeentch battles today. One land battle and one in domination, both featuring the brand new VILITCH. Let's quickly take a look at his stuff, and then we'll talk about the build overall. So, of course, he's a Lore of Tzeentch caster. We've got OP Infernal Gateway and Blue Fire. The one sort of downside of VILITCH being a Foot Lord is he can't fly and use Blue Fire, which is one of the main kind of benefits of like the Lord of Change or the Herald on the disc. Casting Blue Fire from up in the sky with the flying mobility allows you to kind of dictate the pace of that very well, but still, VILITCH should be okay. He's got this special little thing here, which gives him spell mastery, melee defense, melee attack. The longer he's in melee, he has decent enough combat stats: 80 armor, 55 attack and defense, 470 weapon strength, with 140 armor piercing. Also has this Vessel of Chaos. Every time he casts a spell, he gets a little bit of barrier replenishment. So, although I do have Infernal Gateway in this build, probably it'd be more beneficial to just spam the cheap spells to try and get as much of that barrier refresh as possible. The rest of my build, I've got two warriors with sword and board. We'll get up close, let you guys see these guys. I mean, they look pretty similar to the Knights of Tzeentch you might have seen already, but definitely very cool. And then, of course, a couple of halberds as well. Awesome stuff. And then we've backed them up with 5 blues. We've got some Marauders and Marauder Spears up front. Nice thing is, against High Elves, physical resistance, they do have quite a few units with physical resistance, including Dragon Princes, which are very good in this matchup. All that magic damage certainly helps, although the fire damage does not. We've got some Marauder Horsemen here. They've got Warp Flame on their Javelins, which means they can reduce enemy fire resistance or confer fire weakness, which is the same thing, basically. But, yeah, still... DPS is going to be very poor against Dragon Princes, which we do have a unit here. Second unit here, an Archmage of Metal with a rank 9 Frostheart Phoenix. Yes, that's right, folks. Could only be Felcon, of course. Got a front line of White Lions here, second line of Archers, and yeah, the Reaver's out to the flank. So let's get things moving. Long explanation this time, but there's a lot to go over when we're covering the new stuff. The proper new stuff. And Felcon's going to do something very brave, which is just immediately dive the Frostheart onto VILITCH here with the offensive debuffs that the Frostheart Phoenix has. He can keep VILITCH locked in here between the speed debuff from Frostbite and the Chilling Aura. VILITCH down to only 20 speed. His attack and weapon strength is debuffed as well, so Phoenix should be able to just kind of lock him in. Meanwhile, the rest of the battlefield, quick hit and run by those Dragon Princes. They definitely want to stay away out of anything from these warriors with halberds. That anti-large AP plus magic damage is a direct hard counter to the Dragon Princes, so we're going to go for a little cheeky charge here, try and beat out these Marauders that are on the flank, and then the White Lion Infantry gets in against the halberds, which will be definitely a good trade for the White Lions. That being said, the Blue Fire is going to come in, and the White Lion's missile resistance will only go so far against that Blue Fire. We've also got a nice Infernal Gateway here, getting 2 White Lions in its grasp. Should be able to dish out some serious damage there. So VILITCH doing an okay job. Really nice final transmutation from Felcon, though. Is going to hit a ton of units here. Will mostly deal barrier damage initially, but VILITCH himself is going to take some pretty substantial damage from this. Definitely not a comfortable situation for him to be in. Plus this extra unit of halberds trying to support him in melee, but a little bit over-blobbed with the unit of sword and board Chaos Warriors as well. Definitely need to push those guys forward and try and envelop up and around this flank here. You can see the Archmage was taking quite a bit of that Blue Fire to the face, but she's going to now maneuver away, and the Dragon Princes are going to swoop in on the flank and try and shut down this blue horror shooting. Of course, Dragon Princes, as a heavy cavalry unit, are going to be a great answer in general to blues, but especially with the fire resistance, they're going to be more or less immune to the damage of the blues. So yeah, it's what, 40% fire resistance on Dragon Princes? Yeah, 40%, which is fairly substantial, definitely. Warriors with halberds also getting caught out isolated here by those White Lions. That's not great. Dragon Prince is also chasing my Marauder Horsemen around. Again, even as the Marauder Horsemen skirmish here, they're going to actually do very little. But VILITCH continuing to cast some spells, get a little bit of barrier replenishment. He is not faring particularly well against the Frostheart Phoenix, though. These two are kind of trading more or less even right now, which is definitely not great for me. But the halberds will get in there, try and get some extra work done. Try and use up the rest of the blues ammo as well, and just keep them protected until we can do so. Right now, it's still pretty even. Definitely anyone's game at the moment, but VILITCH here, definitely at risk. Falcon going for a dirty Lord Snipe, big old final transmutation, and double attack with the, I almost called her a Herald. Yeah, the Archmage here and the Phoenix. The Halberds of Tzeentch only do so much. It definitely should have brought the Regiment of Renowned Aspiring Champions, but VILITCH, I think VILITCH gets straight up killed here. Let's see. Currently, he is shattered at the very least, but he has 80 HP left. If Falcon can come in and finish him, that will give a much more substantial leadership debuff. So, oh, did he just die? Where did he go? Did he just... What just happened to him? VILITCH has just died? What in the world? Anyway, VILITCH apparently just teleports into the Netherrealm, or maybe I just lose track of him. Oh, there he is. Okay, he's still alive. Anyway, we're going to get a big pitched engagement here. Try and get the Halberds in contact with these Dragon Princes. Finally, Falcon's been doing a great job just avoiding taking engagements near these Halberds. Finally, though, we're able to trap a few models up and pull them down. A little bit confusing with the blue kind of standard High Elven Dragon Princes versus the blue Tzeentch Warriors. A little bit hard to tell who's who there. But anyway, the White Lions, once the blues are out of ammo, we can move in to engage. And just due to the difference in HP and model count, I mean, only 45 models, about 2,000 HP left. The Blue Horse should be able to win there, hopefully. We'll see. Marauder Horsemen also charging out some Reavers out in the distance there. Hopefully we can chase those routing units off, bring my routing units back. But Dragon Princes are still just continuing to crump units. Love me some excellent Dragon Prince play, especially at the expense of Tzeentch. Although I am a Tzeentch fan. They're probably my favorite Monogod faction. They are quite strong, and so I don't mind seeing the High Elves raffle stomp them a little bit. It's also an interesting matchup. I do feel it's one that the High Elves have some pretty good tools in. Here, the Dragon Princes crushing some more blues and then pulling away, trying to stay on the move and stay away from these warriors. Look at this. This warrior, still 91 unit models, pretty much uninvolved in the battle most of the time, just due to the excellent cavalry maneuvering of Falcon here. More charging into the blues and the marauders and all the light stuff. Since my power units, my heavy units are well out of position, going to be a pretty decisive hit there on a lot of those blues and whatnot. The archers also still standing firm. We're able to break up a few of them here, but things are definitely looking pretty grim. Maybe, just maybe, if we can make a stand with these halberds here and actually take out some of the Dragon Princes, but as things start to get towards the end here, the Terror of the Phoenix will come into play. Of course, regular warriors are not immune to psychology. Those without the mark of Slaanesh, that includes these Tzeentch warriors as well, so yeah, they will be at risk of terror later on, but we'll see. Hopefully they can continue to stand. Marauder Horsemen are going to continue to fight as well, try and get some javelins perhaps. The Eagle Archmage comes down, though, to deal with them. These warriors also feeling pretty good, still 91 unit models online. The Phoenix only has 80 armor. I mean, only. It's still pretty high, but even these non-AP warriors should be able to get some good work done. But, oh man, over here, Blue Horrors again getting singled out by Dragon Princes. This is definitely a pretty classic engagement of this matchup. And exactly why you bring these guys here, to just crush hundreds and hundreds of Blue Horrors. I absolutely love to see that. Archers also teeing off. Last few shots going into the wars with halberds there. Definitely way far out of position at this point. I really should just get all of my units and kind of form up into a little box. And you can see I'm trying to bring everything a little bit closer together. Try and make it so that my halberds can fight with the rest of my stuff and things aren't at as much risk of getting terrified off. But definitely looking pretty dicey. I mean, it's still reasonably close. If Falcon were to make some serious errors here, perhaps we could get it done. But for now, Dragon Princes and the remaining Marauders are just struggling. Nice. Looks like the Dragon Princess didn't actually have a charge there, but with the two single entities fighting these Tzeentch warriors, they just need to pull away, reposition, and yep, there it is. I was going to say, get a nice little rear charge here. You'd probably be able to terrify away these Tzeentch warriors. Absolutely beautiful. Archers also out of ammunition, draw swords, and run into melee here. They're going to just provide some extra bodies, and all that results in those Tzeentch warriors getting terrified away. Meanwhile, the halberds finally tangle with a proper engagement, pull down quite a few of these Dragon Princes models, and do some serious leadership damage as well. But they are able to still get away, still with 28 unit models online, almost half their unit models. 45 unit models over there, and army losses are going to kick in for me. So, yeah, interesting that, I mean, I'm not really surprised that the Dragon Princes did so well. They're definitely a unit that's kind of defining in this matchup, if you ask me. Specifically the interplay between them and the Tzeentch Halberds is kind of what will dictate who wins and loses in this matchup, I think. And we'll see that also in a little bit in the next replay as well. But first, VILITCH does a decent job. I'm not totally in love with him. I think flying Tzeentch Lords offer you a little bit more. And a lot of the time, I like taking the Cultist as my primary caster too anyway, which means... And I guess you could take VILITCH purely as a combat lord and only charge up his ability in melee and just not cast any spells with him. Maybe we'll look at his price after the fact and check to see if that's a viable option. But great job by the Archmage here. Honestly, Archmages are so cost effective. And we will see in the next battle that I'm probably going to wish I would have brought one there. But anyway, let's go ahead and get to Domination. Same matchup, different players this time. I'm going to be playing as the High Elves. Yes, that's right, Battle of Itza, and I've got Tyrion rather than a cheap, cost-effective Archmage. I'm going to be honest, with the way things are right now in Domination, the meta pick would definitely just be a minimum Archmage with Pit of Shades only, and just go super wide in terms of your build, but we've gone with a little bit of a different direction this time. Tyrion, relatively immune for being sniped, again, 40% fire resistance on him. No longer has both Martial Prowess and Mastery, only Martial Mastery now, but still definitely a buff over Warhammer 2. Got a couple of Dragon Princes, some Spearmen up front, Archers, Silver Helms with shields on both sides, and then for VILITCH's Tzeentch, he's got the Regiment of Renown, Aspiring Champions, the Severed Claw. These guys are freaking spectacular. They're huge, too. Look at how these guys are like monstrous infantry almost. Look at them compared to these Marauders behind them. Incredible. Got some Marauders of Tzeentch, some regular Tzeentch Halberds, regular Tzeentch Warriors as well, some Spears, couple of Blues scattered around. Let's go ahead and look at the reserves as we check out these spawn also. For my reserves, I'm risking it for the biscuit with one Swordmaster. We've got 3 White Lions, 4 Illyrian Reavers, 2 Archers, a Silver Helm, and a Life Mage on a Chariot. Spells are just Dwellers Below and Regrowth. The idea here is you build Winds of Magic, bring her out towards the late game, to drop some big spells. For Tzeentch's reserves, VILITCH coming in here with some Knights of Tzeentch. He's got the weird spawn and a regular spawn of Tzeentch. He's got Screamers, Marauder Horsemen, 2 of them, a single pink horror, 2 Furies, a single blue horror, and 2 more Marauder Spears. And now we are back. So, let's get it on to full speed here, and definitely... not totally regretting bringing a very heavy cavalry build in my initial starting army, but it is going to be a little bit tricky. I've got to pick and choose my targets here of who to charge, because obviously the halberds are going to be a big problem for me. This Severed Claw, I mean, you guys have a lot of HP per model. Aspiring Champions now have like proper monstrous infantry weapon strength, so they actually do quite a bit of damage. 30 bonus versus large, 60 armor piercing, 120 armor. They've got barrier and magic attacks, so they're going to be a great counter versus the Dragon Princes, specifically. But here, Tyrion's going to get things started. The Tzeentch Warriors do charge into the Spearmen there, but nice charge also from the Dragon Princes, straight into the face of those Marauders, also downhill in all directions. Yeah, these just charging the light targets, basically. The Marauders eat the charge there. Dragon Princes definitely need to keep it moving, though. Those Severed Claw, rather, are going to get into combat right behind them and start to drag their models down in a big hurry. It's, what? I think they 2-shot Dragon Princes with their weapon strength, so it's definitely not going to be great for me. A lot of the Dragon Prince models end up getting caught up because we didn't actually break those Marauders, so a little bit rough, but still, we're able to concentrate forces in the back line, break some of those Blues. I'm starting to bring in some infantry now. The Swordmasters of Hoeth are definitely a risk because, of course, VILITCH has his own stationary vortex. Infernal Gateway is going to be able to nuke them pretty efficiently. But I had brought them in just to try and clean up a lot of this Tzeentch infantry while also being relatively safe from the halberds. I mean, they're basically going to do no damage, right? But yeah, look at this. Beautiful placement. Also managed just to catch my archer at the same time. Nasty, nasty Infernal Gateway. I know one of my patrons in particular will not be happy to see this, but hey, you just got a High Elf victory, so all things in balance. Nasty Infernal Gateway there. That's another spell that I would expect to get nerfed relatively soon. But Sunfang goes through, doesn't actually do much damage at all, mostly non-AP damage there, I believe. In fact, I don't know if it does any armor piercing. But, yeah, 0% armor piercing, so definitely not great to use against those Tzeentch warriors, but the cavalry only doing so much in a sort of more confined space like this, and with my own Miss Micro, they're obviously in more sustained combat against anti-large units, which is something that Falcon was able to avoid very well in the last battle, and instead, this time, taking a lot of damage. Even the spawn with their armor sundering and so forth, they're going to be a pretty decent unit here, but Life Mage was brought out. We're going to try and throw down a Dwellers somewhere if I can, just to deal a lot of AoE damage, maybe a little regrowth here on some of these Dragon Princes also. We'll see, but right now I'm facing full triple prong pressure recap, which is not ideal by any means. These Silver Helms also start to get caught up by some Screamers. The anti-large AP of Screamers does make them a pretty good niche unit against heavy cavalry, so although they were one of the few anti-large AP sources you had before, now in tandem with Halberds, they can actually work quite well. Probably in the last game, too, I should have brought some Screamers, but I don't know. They probably just get eaten by the Phoenix in the sky. Who knows? It's a lot of back and forth, but Cavalry is going to continue to try and avoid here and just pull back, not trade needlessly. Maybe if we can pull some of these units closer into my deployment zone, I can redeploy some units and get a little counterattack going, try and push some of these units back. Silver Helms also more being deployed there. And, yeah, Life Mage charging in. I don't know, I must have missed where she got that Dwellers, but anyway. Tyrion taking some significant damage from those Tzeentch halberds as well. And the Dragon Princes finally coming through. They're going to make contact with those Marauder Horsemen and be able to deal with them very quickly. Okay, here's the Dwellers. Yeah, value-wise, in hindsight, I definitely should have used it right here on top of the Severed Claw, and even the Marauders are not so big of a deal, but in particular the Severed Claw, we could deal some significant damage to them, but instead, using it on this blob here, a lot of these units are able to pull away. They did still take some damage nonetheless, but I also just completely, again, miss-micro my caster and leave her fighting a bunch of Tzeentch halberds, which leads to her getting routed off, so pretty sloppy play by me, honestly. It's definitely not indicative of how this matchup could go in domination, but let's see if I'm able to pull things back. Maybe start to concentrate some value. Thankfully, Elven leadership is bailing me out a little bit here. The Swordmaster's still hanging around. White Lions also on reinforcement can come in and get some good work done. The Silver Helms and Dragon Prince is also still fighting. We're likely to get the caster back as well. She can maybe get a little regrowth on herself, get herself back in the fight here. Try and utilize that chariot to good effect. But Silver Helms here finishing off some Chaos Warriors, perhaps. But those Tzeentch spawn, man, now Armor Sundering just makes them trade so well into heavy cavalry. In even, you know, prior to Immortal Empires against factions like Kislev, you definitely see Tzeentch spawn to counter cavalry and chariots. But, oh yeah, Swordmasters finally get to the objective. That's right. They get to kill like a single Marauder Horseman. And all jokes aside, White Lions, Silver Helms rushing in. Tyrion still holding as well. He's managed to break those Tzeentch halberds, so yeah, hopefully we'll be able to capture this center objective and at least staunch the bleeding. If I could somehow get a triple cap here and bring myself back into this game, I'd be very impressed. The Illyrian Reavers, more Illyrian Reavers, just swinging out here to try and outmaneuver a lot of this slower infantry and get on the objective here. The Tzeentch Spears getting attacked from multiple directions by some nice Elven infantry. Swordmasters and White Lions and Silver Helms too, actually. They're going to come in here and try and charge out those Blue Horrors also, I think. But over here, the Javelins start to deal with the Illyrian Reavers pretty efficiently, and my opponent also brings in here a Knight of Tzeentch as well. These guys are in the base game, of course. You don't need the Champions of Chaos DLC to use them. They're fantastic new models. Definitely are helpful, though. No question about that. Tzeentch Warp Flame Javelins doing a nice job against the Reavers. Reavers are going to countercharge in here, but that just leads them off of the objective and into the clutches of those Chaos Knights. It's unfortunate, too, because we were able to cap this objective, and we're very likely going to be able to cap this side objective as well as the Reavers and other units kind of come forward here. The Severed Claw and a lot of these other Tzeentch units a little bit too far into my deployment zone. They're now going to have to come back and kind of counterattack, retake that objective, but still we're able to stop the bleeding somewhat and almost get a full triple cap. So let's see, another unit of Illyrian Reavers coming in. Unfortunately, I don't really have the supply to bring in a lot of good, expensive units right now, like more Silver Helms or Dragon Princes off of this reinforcement to come in here and actually try and win this fight decisively, but the best I can do here is just provide capture weight and continue to try and hang on to these objectives. Chariot gets a nice charge in here. Of course, Chariot being anti-infantry makes it a decent choice against the Furies. You also get a nice regrowth. Ooh, misclick there. Yeah, definitely a misclick on those Reavers and not on the Life Mage herself. I forgot about that. Healing that Life Mage would have been quite helpful because her Chariot is going to be quite nice anti-infantry damage, honestly. And of course, another regrowth would be useful to help take out like the Severed Claw, but let's see. I do have 2 cap pressure right now, so we're starting to come back. It gives me a little bit more breathing space to try and retake this objective, but with the Knights here holding, I mean, I don't even think I have anything in my army that will trade well directly with these Chaos Knights, so it's a little bit tough, not to mention VILITCH comes through in the center. He's going to bust up some more of my Knights here with another Infernal Gateway, and come through with some Screamers, some Tzeentch Spears, some other units here, trying to retake this objective. We're able to hold it fairly well. There's a lot of White Lions and a handful of Swordmasters here. But up on the high ground, once the Severed Claw come back, we're able to push back my cavalry and my caster relatively easily. It seems like a unit in Domination that you're definitely going to need like armor-piercing missiles or magic to deal with. Just in melee, I mean, of course, Swordmasters, if I could have got them into combat, would have absolutely crumped those aspiring champs, but was not meant to be. Just like the victory was not meant to be for me this time. Dragon Prince is coming back in. Again, just trying to provide a little bit of heavier punch if I can to actually retake this objective. But I am very quickly running out of time. I think one change they could make for Domination to improve it. I haven't really talked a lot about my thoughts since the Summer Championship, but one thing they could do was make the battles last a little bit longer. Maybe give it like 6,000 or 7,500 victory tickets needed to win instead of 5,000, so you just get that extra minute or two to try and make a comeback. It seems like a lot of the time, and here I think it's pretty hopeless. I think I've made too many mistakes. But in a lot of situations, it's, you know, you feel like if you just had another couple minutes, you could possibly get a 3 cap and actually finish things. But anyway, a little bit of a Sunfang here. Actually does much better against those lighter units. Now allows Tyrion to get some attack animations on VILITCH directly, but VILITCH has been doing a good job keeping his barrier up and keeping himself out of harm's way. Really hasn't taken much damage at all, and my force definitely has. So just a nice 3 cap finish by my opponent. This is one of the Summer Championship tournament players. I don't remember exactly which one, but he's definitely one of them. And yeah, it's an interesting matchup. I definitely think it's a matchup that can go either way. Pretty skill dependent and sort of engagement dependent. I maybe give a slight edge to the High Elves in land battles, but in Domination, I think the Tzeentch infantry is just slightly superior. It's hard to say. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, though, but definitely a matchup I'm looking forward to exploring more in the future. My own cavalry was pretty badly limited, pretty badly misused here. I mean, in hindsight, it would definitely be safer to just go with, like I said, a Min Shadowcaster, a bunch of White Lions, probably Silvern Guard as well for the spell resistance, and so forth. But yeah, the caster on the Chariot did a decent job, even with how badly I misused her. Definitely having this in reserve, just letting your Winds of Magic build, then coming out sort of towards the mid to late game to drop a couple of big, expensive spells seems to be a way that you can go. Silverhelm's also decent enough here. VILITCH getting some nice value. Of course, I did feed him some Swordmasters, so to be expected, but 2,002 value on the regular Tzeentch Halberds too. Aspiring Champs didn't get as much damage value, but they didn't take any damage at all. I didn't lose a single model, so very impressive stuff there. Warriors, generally very cost-effective, as are the Marauders of Tzeentch in this situation. Of course, the Knights also kind of providing some nice tactical value. Good damage from the Screamers, and the Marauder Horsemen. Just decent performance by Tzeentch overall in this second battle. So there you go, a win and a loss for VILITCH. Both are losses for me, but that's just how things go sometimes. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Well, yeah, let's just quickly look at real quick. So my preferred Tzeentch setup, at least for land battles, is as follows, right? Come in here, and you take the Cultist. He does have access to the War Shrine now, which I might consider. It is a 500-point upgrade, so you're basically cutting 1 blue for this, but gives him a huge amount more HP, makes him count as a large target, but you also get this additional spell mastery for making extra kills. But basically what you do is you come in here, you get Fireball and Cascading Fire Cloak, the 2 cheapest spells for lore of fire. You get Kindle Flame every time you cast a spell, Wand of Whimsy for extra melee attack and weapon damage, which is going to synergize even better than it did before, now that you have access to some dedicated melee units, like these Warriors of Tzeentch. You know, if you're casting it for your Marauder Horsemen to make a little melee push, it's also going to give them a damage spike due to their own flames, so something like this. And then I was going to see, if you take VILITCH and you just cut his spells, don't plan on casting any with him, you're also going to not take this Paragon of Change, maybe take the Twisted Twin, although maybe not. He's not actually going to be casting any spells himself, so he's only 1,000, which, I mean, for that price, you get a reasonably sturdy combat lord who has barrier and, yeah, is relatively cheap. I mean, it's, if you compare like the regular sorcerer lord of Nurgle, right? He's even cheaper, but offers even less upside in terms of melee capability, so I kind of am interested to experiment a little bit with this and see. The problem with both of these is the Exalted Lord of Change without spells is still a very strong mobile monster that can also take this Fury's summon, which is great both in land battles and in domination. So it's a little bit tricky. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, though. If you've made it this far into the video, tell me, would you take VILITCH with no spells with the Cultist, or would you take the Lord of Change, or maybe someone else? Maybe you go for like a side door Sarthriel or something weird. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. Hopefully you guys had a good time. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.